While technically not the first LEGO game, LEGO Island stands as one of the first big wins for LEGO in the gaming space, becoming the 15th best-selling computer game of the late 90s. Developed by Illinois-based Mindscape, LEGO Island was a, quote, proto-open world based on the fictional, setting of LEGO Island, where you would control multiple characters and complete multiple objectives. I don't remember where I first got this game, I don't know how it came to be installed on my computer, but as a kid I played this a lot. From the little LEGO intro that plays on first boot, to the sound effects and stellar music, playing the game for this review was a total nostalgia trip.
Okay, let's get started. There's so much to do. Things like racing and jet skiing and building and flying and watching and driving and having fun and... well, you know, I'm not exactly sure what all there is to do.
Besides the audio and video, though, it's also a trip because of the type of LEGO building we're seeing on display here. LEGO Island is a peek into the early world of LEGO building practices. Sets were more simple, based around a comparatively small amount of total pieces. Not unlike today where you have custom pieces for everything under the sun. You had to use your imagination far more to imagine some of these pieces are what they're intended to be. Honestly, they remind me a lot of the LEGO sets my dad handed down to me, a lot of the space sets from the 80s. If you saw Benny in the LEGO movie and weren't automatically smacked with a wave of pleasant memories and unpleasant realities as snapping the button on the helmet, I feel sorry for you. In fact, there's a great post on the Brick section of Stack Exchange asking for help identifying real-life sets that were featured in the game. I'll link the post below and will point them out in-game as I play. During a chance encounter at the 1995 New York Toy Fair orchestrated by LEGO Island's creative director Wes Jenkins and Paul Melmed, the game's education research director, the man responsible for leading testing and design with kids for edutainment games, the team pitched LEGO Island for the edutainment developer Mindscape. Prior to this, LEGO didn't see video games as a market worth getting into. Remember, just a little more than a decade earlier, they would have witnessed the video game crash of 1983, which saw many toy manufacturers go out of business due to an oversaturated market. But as video games saw a slow but steady resurgence in the mid to late 80s, going into the 90s, LEGO began to think about what the future of the toy industry would look like. So in the fall of 1995, LEGO decided to do something about it. Quote, that fall, the LEGO Group leadership asked Tormod Eskildsen to explore the impact of video games and whether the LEGO Group should invest in the new medium. In December 1995, Eskildsen presented their findings. Most important among them was a single stark declaration. Getting into the game industry wasn't an option, it was a necessity. A month later, the LEGO Group announced a deal with Mindscape for the developer to make a series of video games, the first one based on the LEGO Town theme. There's actually a fascinating interview with the creative director mentioned above, Wes Jenkins. I absolutely encourage you to go read it for yourself. I've linked it here and in the description, but there's far more cool anecdotes mentioned in that than I could ever cover in this video. One of the coolest things I learned that I never noticed was how the game played on the theory of multiple intelligences. When asked about the design of the characters, Wes Jenkins said, quote, I kind of based their personalities on friends of mine when we were little kids, although don't tell them. But again, it was inspired by everyone on the team and kids and my memory of being a kid. Paul introduced this theory from a guy named Howard Gardner, Google him. It has to do with multiple intelligence. Basically, we all have some strengths, whether it's art or language or people or sports and dance and other things. So the main characters have definitive strengths that allow the user to see LEGO Island through different intelligences. But as much of a success as LEGO Island would go on to be, Mindscape apparently pulled a fast one, firing the entire development team the day before the game was set to come out. This way, they could avoid paying the bonuses that would be owed to the development staff. LEGO would go on to pull the license to develop their games from Mindscape, with LEGO Island 2 going on to be developed by Silicon Dreams Studio. Okay, so getting this game to run on modern hardware can be a bit of an ordeal, but I managed to make it work, albeit with some caveats. First thing you're going to want to do is get a copy of this game. While it's considered abandonware, I know YouTube doesn't like when you link to external sources for free games, so what I'm going to say is absolutely, under no circumstances, should you go to a website called My Abandonware and search up LEGO Island. Then, don't download it. I repeat, do not visit this free archive that contains thousands of abandonware titles to download the LEGO Island ISO. Definitely don't mount the image and then download the LEGO Island Alternative Installer or the LEGO Island Rebuilder from this GitHub repo I've both linked here and in the video description. Do not use the Alternative Installer to remove the need to mount the CD image every time and create a more stable launching experience. And the LEGO Island Rebuilder, whatever you do, don't even think about using this tool to unhook turning speed from frame rate or set WASD as the active keys. Are we on the same page about this? If you have any issues or questions, in the name of Ole Kirk Christensen himself,
don't do it.
Don't check out the Rock Raiders United forum. You will not find the answers to the questions you have there. If you've never experienced the game firsthand, you might be confused why audio tends to come up again and again, but it's for the pure reasons that the sound effects are great.
Perfect.
The voice acting is hilarious.
Oh, don't drop him!
You mean like that other guy?
Whatever happened to him?
Who?
The other guy.
We dropped him!
Well, don't drop him!
And the music? Oh, the music.
Let go. Let go. Let go.
They occupy the same space in my brain as songs like Dire Dire Docks from Super Mario 64. And in case you're wondering if it's just me who fell in love with the soundtrack, one of the most common things I found Googled about Lego Island is whether or not it got an official soundtrack release. That's the legacy of this OST. It didn't, spoiler alert. When it comes to video, you really get what you see. It's very basic, but I think the use of Lego bricks kind of cuts down on the lack of realism in the graphics. I think they call this art style. What they don't call art style, though, is the horrendous textures used for anything that isn't a Lego brick. Yeah, that's right, we're operating on pseudo-Atari rules. Squint real hard and don't ask too many questions. There are a few options to tweak the visuals. There's a way to run it in widescreen, but this game really was made to run in 4:3. You can turn up the FOV as well if it makes you feel sick, but I found this tended to break things. But like I said, if what you're looking at is a Lego brick, everything looks pretty good. What really does it for me, though, is just how many of these are authentic Lego pieces that I recognize. In the next section, I'll cover the missions and the sets that inspired them, / were inspired by them, but they make use of the rather limited library of sculpts available around this time in Lego's lifespan to fantastic results. Okay, so in Lego Island, you have 5 main missions and 5 characters you can choose from. Pepper is the series mascot and the character most players, who are intended to be children and not grown-ass men, to identify with. He's rad and totally tubular and speaks in borderline unintelligible skater talk.
90 degrees, 45 degrees. I got more degrees than a thermometer. 10 degrees, more degrees than a professor. I'm a Mongo-footed Professor Narnar. 5 degrees and touchdown. And under control.
But of course, for those of you who own a Thrasher hoodie and constantly smell like Mountain Dew and weed, this might make total sense to you. Pepper is known for being a very poor reader, as reminded by Papa Briccolini, who is his adoptive father. Papa tells him if he spent more time learning to read than skateboarding, he would be in college by now. Even if you visit the jail as Pepper, you'll notice the sign in front of the Brickster cell informing the public not to bring the Brickster pizza. It shows up as pizzazz, whereas for everyone else, it's spelled properly. The next character is Mama, Pepper's adoptive mother, and she's introduced in probably my favorite intro cutscene. If this is the first video you've seen from me, I'm a huge history nerd, and I love to cram it into as much of the content I make as possible. So when Mama's backstory is portrayed to us in a Ken Burns-esque documentary, superimposing her on black and white images and videos of immigrants, I shit Lego bricks. This isn't the first time we've seen some extremely creative nods from the developer, and it's not the last. You can really tell they made this game their own by injecting little bits of humor in places maybe only a few people would find, but as with my own videos, the point was to make themselves laugh. Anyway, a few of Mama's personality quirks that she loves to play music, often being the entertainment at the pizzeria she shares with her husband. Okay, not that kind of entertainment. Unfortunately, I think she also experiences a fugue state when presented with extremely stressful situations, as she can be found walking in circles, terrified that she can't find Pepper or Papa, but I'm standing next to her, playing as Papa. Perhaps she knows something we don't. Papa is no nonsense, and while he loves Mama's music, he expects all members of his family to be working in some form or another. But his intro video is great too, done in the style of a POV home movie / commercial for the pizzeria.
I told to get out of here with that camera. I've got work to do. Peppa, get in here. We got work to do.
Nick Brick is one of the 2 named cops, and his introduction is done in the style of an Alfred Hitchcock movie, and is made even better by his commentary. Listen to this, man.
The thing that impresses most people is my memory. I can remember anything. I'm remembering this right now. I just said, the thing that impresses most people is my memory. Pretty good, huh?
Laura Brick is Nick's sister and is probably the weakest introductory cutscene, which is unfortunate because her voice actor has a stellar voice, either Canadian or Upper Midwest American, but either way, it's such a great fit for the character.
We do have our problems. Disputes do happen here on Lego Island, but most can be solved with a little understanding.
Besides the playable characters, there are a few NPCs that are worth noting. The first is the Infomaniac, which besides being a sweet channel name, I'm jealous I didn't think of, is the player's main guide. Think of a voiced Clippy in Lego form. He's there to greet you when you first boot the game, and explains most of the game's mechanics to the player. Our next notable NPC is the Brickster. He serves as the main antagonist in the series and can be found residing in the jail on the island. If you go up to him, he will lay down some seriously well-crafted and cutting digs at whatever character they're playing as. Seriously, for being an E-rated game, these insults are the kind that a kid would say to you and have you lying awake at night.
Pepper, or should I say paper? That's how you spell it, don't you? That's what I heard. You can't spell or read too well. You know, Laura, I was thinking that this life of crime doesn't add up. But to you, nothing adds up because you can't add. Hey, come on, that's funny. You can't add, nothing adds. Forget it.
Turns out the Brickster was locked up partway through the slayification process. But the true threat to the island, the true Lovecraftian nightmare that threatens to tear the fabric of space and time apart, is Bill Ding.
How you doing? I'm
Bill Ding.
Bill is the main guide when it comes to the building sections, and he seems to work everywhere. He explains the very basic building and customization mechanics, but most importantly, he remembers you between playable characters. Like if you build something as Pepper, but return as Laura, he mentions something like, oh, you're back. I believe Bill, as with the Infomaniac, knows he's in a simulation. Whether they control it or not, I'm not sure. Everyone on the island seems to contain some sort of transmogrification and psychokinetic powers. Perhaps the greatest power of all is knowledge, something Bill and the Infomaniac have in spades. However, some of the island's residents have seemingly started to notice the boundaries of this illusion. People frequently make references to the body parts they don't have, like knees. Even before something bad happens, Papa is able to receive premonitions from some place beyond the void.
I got the bad feeling. I could feel it in my knees.
Of course, it's all the simulation hypothesis, the theory that we are in fact living in a simulation being run by beings far more intelligent and advanced than ourselves. To find out the truth, I ventured deep into the unholy catacombs beneath Lego Island. A mirage that could only have come from the mind of Dante Alighieri himself plays out. I make my way to this door. Like a virtuous child of a trickster deity returning home, I clicked on the door and I received the response I feared would come.
Get ready to raid Shadow Legends.
Okay, let's dig into these missions I mentioned. Now remember, this is a game from '97, so you won't be surprised to hear it suffers from repeat-itis, where the length of the game was artificially extended by giving you reasons to replay the 5 missions I mentioned earlier over and over to see minor differences, or in this case, fill in a score cube. What's the score cube, you ask? It's the area where the game gives you your gold scar, or rather, a red brick, for completing different missions as different characters. My goal was to fill it up completely as a brag, but the game has the nasty habit of not saving your progress. The safest way to get around this, I found out after the fact, and I'm not kidding, is to use Alt F4 whenever you want to close the game. I'm dead serious. For our first mission, we're headed to the Lego Island racetrack. This area is based off the set Fast Track Finish, which is part of the town's sub-theme race, which was released in 1996. In the actual building phase, Bill Ding rolls up with his all-seeing eyes and southern accent to teach us how to build our car. We'll call this aspect Yeehaw Bill. This is our first foray into building mechanics, and you know what? It's no Midnight Club LA, but it's not bad. None of these options improve performance at all. If you thought they would, you gotta start dropping your expectations, because this is a game for children. So there are a few parts you can paint different colors, and some decals you can pick through as well, but the real point of this mission is the race that you get to partake in. And it's so important because it actually proves my theory about Lego Island. It's all in a simulation, and these citizens are blissfully unaware. Once we pass through the track doors, we're transported to a Hieronymus Bosch painting in video game form. We're bombarded with hellish scapes featuring various Rube Goldberg-esque nightmares clearly designed to torment and maim on emotional and metaphysical levels. Hitting one of these obstacles rarely results in us slowing down, just our character letting out a grunt of pain. For real though, the track is pretty cool with a lot of unique visuals. For something so short, I wish that we didn't have to go around the track twice. Rather, just give us a single longer track. Another thing I think would have been nice to see is a different race theme for each character. Playing as Pepper, there are pizzas being rolled and skeletons and monsters, which could represent his childish demeanor. Those are the things he's afraid of and surrounded by. It would have been cool if each character had their own hellscapes. Remember when I told you this was a children's game and I'm complaining there's not more variety of hell and damnation? The ambulance mission is next, and we get another glimpse of the sort of humor in Lego Island. The paramedics accompanying you are named Return and Enter. They might be my favorite characters so far.
Hey, that's mine!
No, it's mine!
Since when do you wear that color?
So anyway, all the drivers are out sick with what sounds like some kind of venereal disease.
I need to get an ambulance to all of those locations, and all of my drivers are out with a bad case of the bumps.
Enter and Return pack the ambulance like they're Karens going to a beachfront country music festival, and we hit the road. It's one of the simpler missions. We don't have to build anything, but I have to say I'm not overly impressed that no one mentions where we're actually going. You either have to know where these locations are because you saw them on the map, or just drive around until you find the locations. I'm sure as a kid I would have loved driving around because it meant there was more to explore, but it's time to stop living in the past. I'm not a child. I'm a big-aged, grown-ass man. Now let me get back to my Lego game. We get to the pizzeria and this guy is choking. Everyone is so demanding that I just let him suffer for a few minutes. I want everyone to know I hold this man's life in my hands, like a god. Then I click on him and actually, you know what, just watch this.
Don't worry. If we can't save it, we can make it tomorrow night special.
Wow, what's that? What a relief. Oh.
We gotta put up a sign. No pets allowed.
Man, is it hard to get some sleep around here or what?
I love how Papa is like, if it dies, I want to feed it to my customers. Which one? Next, we go to the police station where, is this guy gonna jump? Shit, alright, things on Lego Island have taken a turn. I guess they figured kids would have trouble figuring out exactly what to do because the infomaniac immediately bursts in telling you exactly what to do.
Not that you need any help, but I can't help myself. You should click on the gate up there. Then, when the painter falls, Return and Enter can catch him. At the gate, that red striped roadblock in the driveway. Oh, you already knew that? Sorry.
You get back to the hospital and catch the doctor in the throes of a spiral.
Well, I suppose I should get back to my practice, although I don't know why they call it that, practice. I am a doctor already. I don't really need to practice. It's sort of redundant. It's actually a little insulting.
I'm just gonna leave. All right, the next mission takes place at the gas station / garage, and this one always tripped me up as a kid. Not because it's complicated, but because I wasn't very smart. I mean, I'm still not, but you know. This area has two main draws. The tow truck mission, which is much more upfront about informing you of and the ability to build your own car. When I figured this out as a kid, I lost my studs. For the building section this time around, Building has clearly altered his persona to hide the ugly truth of his deity-ness. Don't believe me? Listen to this shit in reverse. We snap on our tow truck driver hat and make our way down to the racetrack. Watch, these are my last two brain cells trying to figure out why I just put the peanut butter in the freezer. The pizza mission is also one of the simpler ones. If you couldn't tell, this game is essentially built on glorified fetch quests, but damn it, in 1997, this was glorified, because it was glorious. You end up delivering a pizza to either the racetrack or the hospital, and oh man. Okay, this is a little weird, but remember as a kid how certain cartoon foods just look so friggin' delicious? That's how I feel about these Lego pizzas. I bet they absolutely slap. Or, snap. You know, like snap together, because it's Lego. On the beach, we get probably the most comparable level in scope to the racetrack one, where we get to build a jet ski and race it, Wave Race 64 style. As we get into the building section, we get to watch Bill achieve singularity.
Hello, I'm building, and you're building. I really never noticed that before.
And he willingly changes in front of our eyes. It appears that when Bill puts on the respective hats, he then becomes that person.
I just put this hat on here, and whoa, I am stoked.
I'm so sorry you had to watch that. Building section over. Getting into the jet ski section, we have to race around the island. Nothing too special, but oh god, what is happening to this woman? Should I call someone? The only complaint I have with this level is after you go over some ramps, if you hit any of the directional buttons, there's a good chance you'll get turned around when you hit the water, which is annoying because you can be overtaken very easily. Okay, the police station is the only unique mission in that you don't actually earn anything for completing it. The whole point is to build the police helicopter. Why it's not already built is beyond me. I guess the Lego Island Police Department's been defunded. You can drive it around, but the real point of this guy is its importance in the game's main plot. Yes, as surprising as it might be, Lego Island does have a plot. However, it won't start unless you've met certain conditions. The first is that you have to be playing as Pepper. Remember, I said he's essentially the main character, so this is important. The second is that you need to have built the police helicopter. Do you need a second to write that down? Okay, good. Let's keep going. After you've met those conditions, you can start the pizzeria mission. Mom is in the middle of gaslighting Papa over having a premonition that something bad was going to happen. This time around, instead of delivering this pie to the hospital or race car track, the caller, claiming to be Nick, asks that the pizza get delivered to the jail. This sketches Papa out, but that doesn't stop him from sending his adopted son there completely unsupervised. Once Pepper gets there, the Brickster takes the pizza for Nick and remarks that this is one of Papa's
famous jalapeno, red pepper, anchovy double garlic pizza, the strongest pizza on the island.
And that even the fumes are enough to melt the lock of his cage. Goddamn, if that's the case, does any poor inhabitant who consumes this thing just have their colon fall out? So you remember how earlier it's established that Pepper is an illiterate mess who can't read? Well, because of that, he couldn't read the sign exclusively saying not to deliver the Brickster pizza. And I mean, I get that it's Pepper who delivered it, but this is a small island. Shouldn't everybody know by now not to bring anus-shattering spicy pizzas anywhere near those bricks? Anyway, the Brickster claims he's going to tear Lego Island brick by brick, and we remember he's in prison for leading an anarcho-fascist uprising on the island. So the Brickster steals the helicopter just in time for the rest of the main characters to show up and ask what happened. Papa actually gets weirdly serious with Pepper.
There's a solution here somewhere. If I just calm down, I might be able to remember what it is!
But not so why didn't you...
We're encouraged by everyone to chase after the Brickster alone, meeting up with Laura and Nick to apprehend him. Despite being, a child, the reasoning is that they need someone who can skateboard to get there in time. The irony is that when we actually set out to catch him, we're not on our skateboard, and from what I could tell, we can't get on it. So we catch up to him. Nick and Laura ride up with no problem on their bikes, so again, I ask why I needed to be here. The Brickster drives off in a stolen ambulance, dropping pieces of the helicopter behind him to slow Pepper down. All of this takes place during an absolute bop. Man, I'm listening to that next time I deadlift. After we pick up a few pieces, the Brickster makes his way to the cave under the island, somehow hiding and kicking off the next step of this mission. We have to drive around the island following the whistle of these helicopter parts. Which is fine if you're close-ish to them, but super friggin' annoying if they're far away because the music is so loud when you're trying to listen for the whistling. You can turn off the music in the debug menu, but I didn't know that at the time. So we collect all the pieces, we have to put the helicopter back together. When the infomaniac lets us know he's installed a turbo pizza chucker. Oh man, that just sounds offensive. Anyway, your helicopter is being loaded up with pizzas and donuts. The general gameplay move here is to fly around the island and distract the Brickster with the pizzas while shooting donuts at Nick and Laura to speed them up. You can see the number of structures remaining at the bottom right of the screen, which the Brickster is tearing down with the use of the island's power brick. Now from here, there are actually two endings. That's right, two. A good and a bad one. In the good one, the Brickster is caught and the entire island rejoices. Everyone's dancing and Pepper's lauded as a hero. In the bad one, however, the Brickster can be heard speaking over cries from the island inhabitants. He exclaims that the island is his, before repeating the phrase to himself. But he almost sounds sad about it.
All mine!
There's actually a longer version of the bad ending that was cut, and it pretty much reminds me of that scene from Saving Private Ryan. That is terrifying. Might actually be worse without my dramatic edits done. Listen to the audio that they play. I don't know what's funny, the fact that they cut it or the fact that it existed in the first place. Lego Island officially experiences homelessness and what looks like slavery confirmed. If you've never played Lego Island before, I hope I was able to show just what I think made this game so special to me as a kid. And if you've played it before, I hope I was able to tap into some good nostalgic bliss for you, ignoring all the existential conspiracy theories and stuff. LEGO Island stood as one of the first indicators that LEGO had a future in games, and despite some rocky times that would hit the company early 2000s, I think we have this title to thank for paving the way for all the great LEGO titles we have now. Not the LEGO Movie 2 video game though, never that one. And that's that. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe in that order, or Building will find you. And you know what? Maybe share it with somebody. This has been an escape from my analog nightmare. Good luck in yours.